to get to the essence of how I think we need to play our basketball, offensively, there are three things that are most important to me. Shooting the ball, passing the ball, and player movement or cutting. So shooting, ball movement, player movement. And those aspects require you guys, the coaches, to be great. So notice I did not use dribbling, and I did not talk about one-on-one, and unfortunately we equate a lot of those parts of the game with how our coaching, how YouTube, how all those sorts of things work as a pathway to getting better. And it is a way to get better for usually a small percentage of the basketball population. But in teaching shooting, teaching player movement and ball movement, it's a way that all of our players can get better. However, except for shooting, ball movement and player movement can't exist in a vacuum. So you need at least two players. It's about team basketball, and you've got to add the coach to get standards and quality on that, and that's what I want to really show you today. I'm going to take what. Yep.
Do you prioritize it that way? Is for you shooting number one of those three?
Shooting is number one. Yep. Passing is number two. Cutting is number three. And
so to play in your team, you got to be a good shooter.
Well, that's the ideal, and that's what we promote. All right. Okay. So I need help because none of those things are a short game. I can't make the Tall Ferns program better. I can't make us a regular contender or qualifier for World Cups and Olympic Games and those sorts of things because I assemble a squad 2 months prior and go, we want to be a great shooting team or a great passing team. It does not happen at all. I need the support of the coaching community of New Zealand to make these things occur. And our team basketball can be the way that we become really good. So I'm going to do a quick, very simple method of shooting instruction because shooting is actually pretty simple. It just requires attention to detail and then tremendous amounts of repetition. But the coaches have to impart themselves in this a lot more than you probably think. And I'm going to move from shooting, and then I'm going to move on to one of our base offensive sets to use that as an example of how the other parts fit. So, girls, you're up first. What I'm seeing as I've been around the country the past few years is that a lot of our players get instruction to shoot the ball when they're young, and their shot that they have by the time that they're under 14, not enough of our coaches are turning their under 14 shot into their senior shot. Right? And it's very difficult to do. Right? But what I want to show you today are the two methods, the two ways we go about doing this, and the rest is up to the players. So the first part is just a one-hand method, which is pretty easy because some of these girls already know from junior camp. So we start with our hand under the ball, and that's what we refer to it. So method one, stage one, we have an under position. Now you can see that the girls have done a good job because the seams of the basketball are all horizontal, and that's what we want. So the best feedback in learning to shoot is the ball itself. And I tell all the kids that our ideal is to have the seams of the basketball rotate horizontally and quickly. And that's related to your touch. So we don't want to have any wobble on the ball where the picture of the seams is not clear. So the ball will tell them how to shoot. Now, if the ball comes out of their hand that way, it's coming out of the middle of their hand. Now, each player's hand is a little bit different. Some will be dominant shooters off of their middle finger. Some will be dominant shooters off their index finger. Some a combination. You've got to get the position that works well for you. So what we're looking for in an under stage is that the ball rests well in their hand, thumb is spread wide enough, but still comfortably enough. And when we're looking at our players do it, it can't be a cat's claw. So it can't sit right on the first pad of your fingers. It's got to sit on like the second or third pad of your fingers. That's where the ball needs to sit. So that's pretty easy to get the phase under. Next phase is up, where they twist their hand and get around. And so we're looking for here, so you may have to make some adjustments to get hand in the correct position, but hopefully that works well for them. And what we're after, if Lily can turn around here, we're after the wrist wrinkled back and the ball's got to rest there like a golf ball on a golf tee. And if we all go and have lunch and leave the girls here for an hour, come back, the ball should not have rolled off their shooting hand. Okay, so just rest, girls, rest. So we go under, up, and then the last part is through, and they're shooting the ball to themselves. So just shoot it up in the air, it bounces in front of their feet, and they're looking at the ball themselves to see if they can get that rotation of the seams. So you guys go through it, under, up, and then through. Check the rotation. You guys keep shooting it. So as coaches, we're just really telling them the ball's going to give you feedback. Can you get the seams to rotate? So a lot of these girls have had practice with it. They're doing a pretty good job. And freeze there. So I always say, because look, I've been coaching to feed my family for a long, long time. I only do stuff that works. If you go and look at the highest level in the world, look at the NBA, see how the ball comes out of Steph Curry's hands or Damian Lillard's or any of those guys, that's how the ball will come out of their hands unless they've just got such a rush shot that they've had to catch it and let it go in any way, right? But you look for that rotation of the ball and it spins. So the rotation of the seams again is touch and the ball coming out of the middle of their hand. Now to get to that point itself with beginners can take a fair bit of time. And the other issue, because all of us as coaches want our players to go and get as many hundreds of shots as they possibly can. How do they do that when they've got a busy life? Well, I tell them when you're at home, mum and dad, watching TV, sit on the lounge and just do that and get an extra 100 shots at a time, and you can get 200-300 shots a day working on your touch just doing that. So that would be our one-hand method.
So what's a fair bit of time? What does that mean?
Well, if you look at it and say the muscle memory, repetition, what is a rule of thumb? You know, is it 400 shots a day, 500 shots a day?
I guess from your experience, by bringing a new player,
yep.
Right? They pay a different code of playing basketball. How long to teach them this before it's muscle memory and it works?
Yeah, from my experience would be that they can get the rotation of the seams down in about 2-3 weeks. But there's hope. But you got to stay with it, right? Yeah, but this is the first part, and you see. But if you get a complete newcomer, they can't do it. And I was working with a kid the other day, and the ball she was shooting with forward spin, like never played the game before, had no concept of it. So to actually get the feel that the ball's got to roll off the backwards off your fingers to shoot it forwards was like, wow, you know, so you can never assume, right? You got to, anyway. It's still encouraging, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to go in the basket after 2 or 3 weeks, but hey, you got to start it with the fundamentals, right? Now this is also what I mean by a long game, because shooting, let's face it, it's going to take years. Now the problem that we all have, and I have a problem too, because you know, I coach a WNBL team in Australia. My best players go to the WNBA. Like, you're always passing players through. And your problem is you can spend all this time shooting and you don't get the benefit of it. So you could be working on extra plays or whatever else. Instead, you do all this work shooting because Torfern's coach said you should do the work in shooting. That's good for the nation. your shooting doesn't improve over a year, you pass them on to the next coach, and the next coach gets the kudos that they've done a great job teaching shooting, but they didn't do anything because you did all the work. And I understand that, but you got to make that decision about what's right for these guys. Okay, so we go from one hand, and is that too rudimentary a drill for, or at what age does it become too simplistic? Well, the tall phones do this. So when they step on the court before they stretch, they have to do their one-hand shooting. So it's not too simplistic for anybody. Okay, adding the guide hand in is a fraction more complicated. Okay, so what we have, just go under and then up. Right, so it's all in a nice position. And now just add your guide hand to the side of the ball and bring it back to your under position. And some of you know what to do. Okay. So we can see that our seams are still straight. In 90% of cases, what gets lost here, and it happened to Queenie, is that the wrist is not wrinkled back. And we have to keep that angle back here. The wrist can't go over the top of the ball. That has to stay back. And the ball position on her hand is no different. Let your left hand go. Should be no different to how you organised yourself to hold the ball up there. Okay, add your guide hand and bring it back. That angle. Okay, so that's our first part. So position one is our shot pocket. Now, there are very few exceptions when you don't bring the ball back to your shot pocket. So if you catch a pass in the game and it's here, we still want you to bring the ball to your shot pocket. So that's your starting spot. So if you're having to catch it and shoot it, it better be a desperation at the end of the shot clock. Otherwise, if you think you've got to shoot it from there, it's probably not a good shot, right? So we've got to catch it and get it to our shot pocket. Okay, so keep that wrist back. Do not ever let your wrist roll over the top of the ball. Okay, the best analogy, kids all wear jeans, there's your pocket, it's somewhere right in front of there, or thereabouts. And it needs to be closer to your body rather than further away. All right, so we're all pretty comfortable with that position. Our second position, we go from shot pocket to set. And here is where we have all of our issues. So, when our players are 10 and 12 years old, their set position will be here, where they're looking at the basket from above the ball. At some point, we have to progress them where they're looking at the basket from underneath the ball. So for Amma, when she comes out, we have got to transition her through to get to that position where she sees the basket from underneath the ball. And the key thing is that the back of her index finger should just be off her hairline. And that in the most cases, that will be the release point that we're after. And you can see that her elbow is lifted. Like if I had a ruler on the horizontal there, her elbow would be lifted just off the horizontal. Now that is her senior adult shot that she has for the rest of her life. But we stop our coaching here. And then they wonder why they can't get their shot away against bigger, taller, quicker opponents. It's got to come to a set position here. So the stages are shot pocket, not in between, shot pocket, to set. You can feel it, she wants to fight that, to set. And then the last part is now we just let it fly, let the shot go. And then we're after, when the shot goes, that can we get that rotation of the seams with the ball here. Okay, so let's go through the 3 steps. Shot pocket, keep your wrist back. We have to see wrinkles in those wrists, right, Holly? Yes, good girl. So shot pocket to set. And now you let it fly. and check out the rotation of the seams. Go. Okay. Now, the ball still teaches us how to shoot. The big problem when we add our guide hand is the guide hand can take over and we get all sorts of weird side spins and stuff going on. So girls, just turn your left shoulder towards the coaches so they can see. So go shot pocket. Yes, thank you for not letting your wrist go over the ball. To set. Okay, now for those shooters where their guide hand wants to take over, a couple of little tricks. Hold the ball there. You can give them a 50-cent coin and ask them to hold it between their thumb and index finger. And if they try and use these fingers to flick and force the ball, the coin will fall out. So that's a great bit of feedback. You can take their thumb off the ball and just have the four fingers hold the ball. Or you can take the third and fourth finger off and just have one or two fingers put that pressure on the ball. Because we're after finesse. We're not after that guide hand holding, like jamming the ball onto our shooting hand. We want finesse. So go back shot pocket. To set. Finesse with your left hand. And then at the point of letting the shot fly, we're just quickly releasing that guide hand. So we're back to our one-hand shot again and we get great rotation of the seams. Okay, any questions so far?
With your bigger players, would you want to get their elbow higher? Like with your post players when they go from shot pocket to set, would you want their elbow a little bit higher?
So long as the ball doesn't violate the plane of their forehead, again, index finger somewhere about hairline, because remember this has got to be a shot. And if the ball breaks the plane of their forehead, it becomes a throw.
Would you encourage that? Would you think
It's all no. It's pretty relative. Like they'll so long as that elbow is above the ruler, they'll find that good spot that they need.
What about squaring your shoulders and feet? How important is that?
Now I generally don't. So. Trying to think which way the words work. There is, it's better to have, I found, an external focus rather than an internal. And so the analogy is the golfer. So if I'm a golfer and the coach has told me, bend your knees, keep your head down, have your wrists at this angle, tension not here, tension there, analysis paralysis, or paralysis analysis. So I can't think. But if somehow the coach can provide something that's a picture that's external to me. So instead his whole instruction might be, imagine you're sitting on a high stool, but there's no stool there. Oh, okay, I know a stool would be right there. If you can paint external pictures and give external feedback, it's usually a far easier way for the athlete to process things.
But isn't there an earlier foundational stage, like the golf analogy? They get all those mechanics correct first, then they get the visualization and the focus.
Right, so I would work backwards is how I do it. So, and I think that's a good way to fill in the gaps and add some colour to it after we learn to let this ball release the correct way. Okay, now the last part would be, girls, just turn around so you've got your right shoulder to the coaches. So go shot pocket to set. Now, all these players will have just a slight dip here. Slightly bend your knees, press your hips back, like a quarter squat. Bend your knees, hips back. Because, just bend your knees, I know that you're good, press your hips back, press your hips back. We're after a position where we can get snap through our hips. Most of the power will come through your hips. And that doesn't need to be deep. So I've seen some girls, and you can relax now, you can look back at me. So I've had some players here that think that they've been told by their coach to get power through their legs to shoot. So they get down like this, which is way too slow. You're never going to get your shot. So we want a quick snap through our hips to learn to shoot the ball. and that will be the power production. So that's rhythm. These girls are all strong enough at this age to, with good form, make a three-point shot. So we don't want a deep, deep squat. So I encourage a little bit more of an upright shooting position. What we cannot do, and this will be my last point, is that we cannot have power production come from upper body. Upper body is all about touch and rhythm. Lower body is a snap. Now, this is most common with junior girls, but if the position of shot pocket to set, no matter what age group, because remember our under 12s will set here, our older girls will set higher, it cannot be this shot put. Now, how often does that happen? And why does it happen? It happens because we make a move out too early and shoot at baskets too high, too young. So again, I think it's up to the coaches to keep the discipline and engagement in it's okay to shoot close and take your time to shoot close and then get good at a range and then take a step back. So man, you need patience for that again, right? And that's a tough thing. Any final questions on a shooting method?
I recognise that the angle of the elbow hasn't been overly emphasised. To what degree does it start to affect the shot when the angle goes out?
So that, similar to the point that Coach here made before, I don't coach it. I don't worry about it because the feedback I want the ball doing that. So if for me and my body that my elbow can be at that angle and I can do that and the ball comes out of the middle of my hand, so be it. But most people will put it in a fairly neutral position. Some will have more elbow in, more elbow out. I don't worry, I don't concern. I want to see that they've mastered the connection of their hand to the ball. Okay, so the reason I like this method is it works at every level. You can start your 10-year-olds learning to shoot this way, and you can have them doing it sitting down and whatever else. But it goes to the highest levels, right? So every winter, Joe Ingles used to come back to Melbourne. I coached Joe for a number of years. He would come back, he's played so many games, and usually because he's just playing, there are some parts to what he's doing that have become fairly sloppy. His footwork or his shot release or whatever else. And I would have Joe do this stuff. And his shot form naturally is really unorthodox and pretty slow. Now he's the best three-point shooter percentage-wise in the NBA. But the approach is really simple. So for Joe, he's got this long wind-up down on this side of his body, being a left-hander, and then he can take the ball back behind his forehead and sling it. So you just keep doing this stuff with him and shorten it, and he gets his rhythm back, and then he's unbelievably good. So it doesn't matter what level of player. Take the time to do the shooting.
If I was going to tell my girls to watch one of the tall ferns, who would that be shooting-wise?
Well, I think that some of our younger players, because they've been ingrained in this, are actually doing quite well with it. So if I was for touch, Charlize is terrific, how the ball comes out of her hands. She would be a really good one. With a bigger girl, Penina Davidson would be a good example. So she was someone could only really shoot in close. Now she's becoming a competent three-point shooter and her release of the ball is pretty good. Yep.
Some players, as they grow older, the rotation is not there. The ball still goes in the hoop. Do you change the mechanics to make the rotation? When I say the ball, there's no rotation. You can see there's no rotation in the ball. But they've mastered the act of putting the ball in the hoop. So when do you go back and change the shooting to get the rotation?
Yeah, good question. I mean, the context of that is, well, what age, what ambition do they have? If they're playing where they want to play and that works for them, you've got no real incentive to change. So you're probably wiser to leave alone. If if their shooting's the part of the game that's letting them down, then you may need to go through a process to say there are remedial drills you can make your touch better. So I think it's worth a discussion with the player to find out what their goals are. But if I've got a senior player now who's a pro that doesn't want to touch their shot, I'll leave them alone. But I've got like a great example. I have a player in my club team that also plays in the WNBA for Seattle. She came to me as an 18-year-old out of the Centre of Excellence in Australia. She violated every shooting principle I had, but she was recruited by UConn. I mean, this is a very talented kid. So I sat down with her and said, well, you can be a good player no matter what. I think you can be a better player if your shooting's a lot better. It's up to you. This is what I would do with you, but it's going to be 1 step forward, 3 steps back. It's going to feel that way for some time. But her vision was really clear that she felt that she would need to be a 4-man internationally and needed to have a 3-point shot. So she was prepared to do the work. So she made the decision, and then it was easy for me. If it's me making the decision for her, there might not be the buy-in. I don't know if that helps you or not. Righto. So we need our guys to shoot. And we play Australia, we play China. They've got 6'9" in the key. Driving into them, throwing up bad layups and yelling at the refs because we don't get a call is just not a good way to win, right? So we need to have ball movement, player movement, and then get our bigs very comfortable out here to shoot the ball, as well as our guards. Kind of what Paulie did with structuring their offense with Rob Lowe at the last World Cup. All right, you guys go down there. I'm going to show you the next part, which is the ball movement, player movement. I'm going to give you one of our sets that incorporates all these principles. I think this is good basket. This is man-to-man. There are adjustments against zone. I think it is a really good offense for kids around the age of 14 up, and an offense that I've used at World Champs before, pro men, pro women. So again, pretty good at all levels. Righto. Who's done, this is called chin. Who's done this? Hands up if you have. Lauren, Holly, Lily, okay. You 3 guys come up. Maybe Lily, you go over to the corner. Amma, you go to that other corner. Come up here, Holly, you take the ball. So first principle of any offense is define your spacing. Now, I've never played baseball in my life, but I know enough of the terms to go, they have a home base. So for our spacing, we have 4 home bases. And these 2 guards will play on the seam, off the elbow, about 2 meters behind, 3 meters behind the 3-point line. Home base here. And you guys are directly head onto the basket into the corners. So out of transition, we sprint to home bases, and that's the spacing we want to have. Queenie, you can be our postman to begin with. Got a big target here. We do want our 5s, our postmen, to be really good floor runners, even against the big teams, because we put pressure on their transition defense, and then these guys will lift out and come back away from the basket. So those 4 spots we call a home base. That establishes our spacing. Now we move, in this set, we move these guys from the corner to that white line, like 1 step above the free throw line, and they're feeder positions. So ultimately, this becomes an offense, and you come up to the high post screen. This becomes an offense where you can tell now by its alignment, there's a lot of space and area to cut and pass and drive into because the baseline's left open. All right, so that's kind of the bigger picture that we'll work our way towards. When you come back, let's you stay there. Lily, come down here with the ball. Okay. This player, Holly's called our first cutter, because this is the player we're trying to get open. Lauren's our second cutter. She's our second target. All right, and the way the offense will work, We call this first cutter drill. Lily throws the ball, we reverse it across the top, we hit it to the feeder. Now Holly cuts directly down the line, and this is like a, what's the word? A vector, I think, where you've got to hit a great pass in front of the cutter, left hand up, stretch your left hand out, and that's the passing target that we're looking to throw the ball. So to throw that pass, look what she's doing. The only way Amma can throw that pass is to put it above her forehead, right? And you've got to hit that target. And without putting the ball down, keep it up, and then we finish this. It's got to go really quickly, right? So try if you want to get it. This is how our first cutter will start. Now the rotation drill. Lily goes across, rotate up to home base, rotate up to home base. Next rebounder, grab the ball out of the net, snap the pass to here, snap it across, 2, 3, hit, good. Now Queenie, you rotate out, rotate up. See you guys can figure out the rotation now. Out, good. Rotate, up. And freeze. Come up to the finger spot on that white line for me. And do it again. Rotate. Come on, John, to rotate. Hit it. Up forward. Quickly rotate. Look this way. Over here. Good, quick, rotate. Rotate before the ball goes through the net. Hit it, rotate. Because the speed of the ball movement should be far greater than the quickness of the defense to rotate or intercept passes, hopefully. So girls, you're not going to hurt your teammates. You have to really snap the pass as crisply as you can. And then we have to hit the space in front of the cutter with a really strong overhead pass so she can catch it quickly without bringing the ball down. So this is the basis of how we begin our passing game. Now our cutting, if as fast as you can run is 10 out of 10, then your cut, if you're the first cutter, has minimum got to be a 9 out of 10 cut. Like you've got to run the cut really intensely. So let's try it again. Quickly rotate and go. Pass the ball into the space. That's okay, we'll get better with repetition. Excellent. Now this would be a really common warm-up drill. So in an unguarded situation, the quality of our passing and cutting and screening will tend to improve quickly. Okay, and freeze. The last point I'd introduce here is that whenever we set a screen for tall ferns, we have two rules. The first rule is you have to jump stop to set a screen. And then the second rule, if you put your feet under your shoulders, we say that's 1 shoulder width wide. When we screen, we want your feet to be 2 shoulder widths wide, too wide when you screen. Now occasionally we get an unhappy referee, but for the most part, they'll let you get away with a too wide screen. So when the rebounder takes the ball here, and you snap the pass out, you're coming up 1 step above the foul line, jump stop, too wide to set your screen. And I want to hear one good noise with your feet. Okay, one last try for the coaches here. All right, go. Good. One more. Good. All right, and go back to your starting position. So Queenie, you're the postman. The girls that know what to do come out. So that's how we get our first cutter open. Now Lauren's our second cutter. So this is how the offense works. Queenie, you're the postman, you've got the ball. I want a great pass out. Where's your screening spot? Okay, now go back again. What are your 2 rules for screening? Jump stop and too wide. Good girl. So come up to that white line and show me a good screen. Atta girl. Well done. So, Amma to the feeder spot. The ball gets reversed. So our first look is to our first cutter. And we have to teach our players to look for that player every time. So what I'm after is if you can't hit the player for a layup, there at least must be a pass fake to get the defense to have to react to that. Now we turn our focus to our second cutter. And there are 3 things that we have to do for the cutter. You stay here, please. First thing, Lauren knows what to do. She has to push the defensive player with little forearm shoves down inside the 3-point line. So I'm a defender. She just gives, not extended out, but just give me a little friendly push down to here and wait for the pick. Now, the screener, just run inside the 3-point line. Trace it along the 3-point line. That gives you a clue. And now how do you set a good screen? Atta girl. Well done. Jump stop, too wide. Now, when the screen arrives, Lauren backpedals to the top of the key, directly in line with the basket. That's a second thing. And then a third rule is that she goes to a split stance, which is the basis of our shooting footwork. So she turns her left toe towards the basket, her right leg is back. If I've been wiped out on the screen here, we've got a really good pick, I can't get through it or I go under, the pass goes there and she steps into that 3-point shot to shoot it. So that would be one look. If I've got a closeout and I run at her, she might rip it and drive it. That would be our second look. And if we have that happen and she drives to the basket, again, because Australia and China have got the 6'9" in there, we want our post girls to step back to here and we would have Lauren stop and pivot and turn back and hit our postman for the 3. Ball back over here. Come back to the screening spot. Come over here again, Lauren. She bumps me down. She waits for the screen. It's common for the defense to go over the top. Ball's back there and try and deny that pass. So we get to the same spot and now cut back door directly down the line and the whole keyway is pretty much open. All right, and the fourth read we have, so shot, drive, backdoor cut. Queenie's got a great screen. I'm sick of being wiped out on the screen, so I start to cheat it early and get under or over the pick, and Lauren, who's waiting there, she just slips directly to the basket because I'm cheating. I'm trying to get here before her. All right, so We have 4 reads for our second cutter. So the first read we're going to do is our back door, bump your man down, back pedal to the top, read the D. They've gone over the top of the screen, so I just push off and I cut back door, and again we want that pass into space and shoot it. So let's get my first cutter back, Holly. And we're going to hit second cutter, back door, Amma. Here we go. Fake the first one, back door, hit it. Excellent. Now the rotation on second cutter drill is slightly different. Queenie, you become first cutter, you become second cutter, and you become the feeder. Okay, next player ready. First cutter, second cutter, follow the rules, bump down, back pedal, cut. Excellent. Rotation, postman, here. Rotate up, rotate to feeder spot. First cutter, second cutter, back door. Yep, well done. Rotation. First cutter, bump down, bump down. Okay, freeze, freeze, freeze. Just push your man down. Yep, and just wait, wait, wait. Wait for the screen to arrive. How are your feet set for a screen? 1 wide or 2 wide? 1 wide is under your shoulders. How would double shoulder width be with your feet? Can I move your foot out a bit more? That would be 2 wide. Right, so now you've got a wider base to set your screen. So push down to the screen, back pedal, I deny, where's open? Back door. Now rotate to here, your first cutter, up here, second cutter, feeder. All right, go. First cutter, bump down, back pedal, cut. Excellent. Good, rotate. We're going to hit the second cutter. That was the first cutter. Back door, good. 1 more. Freeze, freeze, freeze. Think, where is your home base? Remember home base, baseball? Almost. About here is your home base. Now I'm guarding you, you've got to push me. Come on, show me how you would push me. Don't worry, not going to hurt me. Push me, push me. Yeah, bump, 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 bump. Good girl. Come on, you're not going to hurt me. Bump. All right, now back pedal, back pedal. Now I'm guarding you, right? And I go this way. Where's open? The basket's open. You get out, and you cut. So that's called a backdoor cut, right? Let's go back to our first group now. Set it up again. Okay, so that's how we get first cutter open. Second cutter, quickly on other options, so throw it out. Cut, come on, go through. Bump down, this time shoot the 3, even if you're not warm, Lauren. Come on. Pretty good effort, get in there. Third option, do it again. Same group, do it again. You're gonna rip and drive. Screen, rip, drive. Where does the postman go? You go behind. Good. Okay. And fourth option, she just slips the screen. Okay, now, Lily, you come out to the feeder spot on this side. So let me show you the whole thing now, because we've got the basis of it there. Begin out here. Now we're in a game, it's not a drill anymore. Our guard go back to half court. This would be another guard or a trail postman, so go back to half court. Where are you guys in transition? You go to our home base. So that's our spacing. Now we get our call of chin, we've got to convert them into the half court. So now you put the ball here, please, the point guard's got it. So we're up in a feeder spot. So as we come down the court, dribble it down, quickly reverse the ball. Go, first cutter, second cutter, cut, and throw the ball to the top and get out to the corner quickly. So this is the last part. We were in a 4-out, 1-in offense. And after we run the cuts through, if we haven't scored an easy basket, the postman steps to the top, and why I like this is now we're 5-out. And these 4 guys over here have touched the ball. So in true team basketball, I want this guy to now touch the ball. So we'll pass the ball to here. And look, different things you can do at this point. A really common action for the Ferns will, or really common action when you run this offense is that you walk into the green line here and now go and set a screen. You sprint down to the elbow, set a screen, and now this player who's probably like our best ball screen player, because she was the point guard, will come off the double screen and catch it. Everyone's nicely spread, and our postman, our 5-man, will turn back around and do things like ball screens. So now this will be a pick and roll and fill the top spot here. So that would be a very common ending. All right, so show me the whole thing. So we go from 4-out, 1-in, transition to 5-out, and finish ball screen. And cut, good girl. Find 5-out, double, come off 2 screens, ball screen, roll, fill the top. Excellent work. Under pressure, good. So we began with great spacing, we finished with great spacing. All right, come back again. Now next part. Or, sorry, are there any questions on what I've done? Yep. Okay. If they treat it with an idea coach that will kind of just go through it and we'll wait till we get our point guard and our 5-man back for ball screen, that's what you'll get. But in a perfect world, what we're really after is a great flow of easy baskets, like first cutter. And you'll probably get that cut about 1 time in 10. But it doesn't diminish its importance. We've got to look and run that cut hard every single time to make the defense have to respect it. And then the second cutter, the percentages are a bit higher. That player will get open much more frequently. So if we can get easy baskets off first cutter, second cutter, we're not so reliant on having to bring the last player back for pick and roll.
So if you have an open 3 early in the offense, will you encourage your team to take that?
Well, context of who the shooter would be, but generally, yes, we would. Yes, we would. Okay, so home base, Lily. Now the defense will quickly get onto a pattern, right? So the defense will think, these are the regular passing lanes, and how can we play them? So you go back under the basket where you were in transition and come back to half court. So we're always after the idea of pace and flow into our offense. So we want to have the idea that our half-court offense begins when we catch the ball right back here. And how can we seamlessly get into chin? So one of our actions we call forwards out. Because in old school basketball, these guys down here would be called forwards, and we want to bring them out. So what we do is you drive at your home base, cut to your home base. When you get, stay there. When you get to here, now go and do a dribble handoff with that guy, and you do an exchange with this guy. When you see the forwards out handoff happen, Queenie, now you flash to your spot, and now the ball's going to move. Cut as hard as we can, second cut a layup, right to there. All right, so every cut, girls, must be run with the intention to score. Every cut, every time. So let's go forwards out, chin. We'll hit the second cutter on the back door at tempo. All right, good work. Come back again. Now that's a great way to have the pre-movement into the offense. If you don't want to do the movement with just the dribble exchange, you can always use your 5-man as a pressure release because most 5s don't deny the pass. So instead of letting the guards deny everything, we can have the same movement by just pulling our 5-man straight to the top of the key and pass to here. 5-man will turn and face. Now you exchange and you exchange. I'm looking to hit any of those guys in case they go all the way to your home base, all the way to your home base. And now when I pass the ball out, I come back to my home base. So there are different entries we can use. It can be a dribble handoff entry like the forwards out, or it can be a post pressure release. All right, another really good one here. Point guard, bring the ball out. Just drive to your home base. Come up, Queenie, to the high post. All right, the common passes that we have issues with being denied are this pass here, right, and this pass here. So we want to use our dribbling constructively to create space. So let me show you how we do that. Just move it back. First play is called circle. And a circle creates a clear out to a back door. And you only need to score 1 or 2 easy baskets to virtually eradicate pressure defense from the other coach's plans. So the way that this would work, with Holly being pressured and the pass to me being denied, is that we exchange spots. So I run in front of Holly, or Lauren would run in front of Holly, and now you can see the space behind Lauren's back is opened right up. Maybe there's a driving lane to the basket, and now you would make the first pass, and Lauren would be the first cutter, and you would be the second cutter. But what so often happens with circle move, so come back again, is that circle move can be combined with a wing back door. So the coach is yelling at me, don't let him swing the ball. So I'm out here and you circle, and when the ball's been driven towards the defender, the ball's a magnet which gets people to look, cut back door, and can you throw a pocket bounce pass? Have you heard of a pocket bounce pass? Do you know what that is? Remember from camp? Boom. And that pass, as I go deny, is right underneath my armpit. Okay, excellent work. So come back out again, and we're going to run circle with wing back door, and I want it at tempo, Amma. All right, go. All right, not bad. Now I think you took maybe 1 dribble too many. Can I have the ball? So how we teach our players to give both handoffs and to make pocket passes is to really think that the pass is actually just a continuation of your next dribble. So a lot of the time we won't have our players come here and do that as a handoff because the defense can deny and hit the pass away. A lot of the times what we encourage them to do is just dribble down here and just leave the dribble because it can be run much faster. But also when we run this sort of move here, I'll take your spot, you go, I come off the back here and I'm just pushing it off my dribble and I throw that pass out to space and in front. Okay, so do one more for the coaches. Circle back door. Excellent, good stuff. All right, last part now on chin. So what happens when we can't connect with our feeder because she's gone back door? So go circle, cut back door. All right, so hold there, stay this side here. Now, our first cutter can't cut. Why can't you cut? Because our feeder has gone back door. So there's no one here to pass you the ball. You got the idea? So if you don't get it on the back door, you stay right here. And now when you guys get eye contact and look back at each other, now you clear and come off that player's screen, right? and so you have a shooter that comes back this side. Again, when this was Joe Ingles playing for me, I would just have this player come up and set a screen here because Joe's left-handed. You would drop to the corner, Lily, and Joe would drive off there on his left hand making a play. Just come back again, and I'll take your spot. And the last part of this offense was, well, if we wanted to make this player our target, not this player here, we can drive off the screen. Freeze, stay there. And I can come over here, and this action we call sting, where that becomes a dribble handoff, and now come back and ball screen over here. And we can make this player the target. And now roll, and I replace behind. So we're after flow and pace with the offense, and then our counters to pressure should also flow easily into a next action. So I'm going to run a couple and let the coaches see it. So I want to go circle, back door. We won't hit the back door, but we'll go a ball screen between the guard and the postman. So off you go, circle, back door, clear through, or you picked your dribble up. That wouldn't help. And roll. Excellent, good. Now this time we don't want to make the guard the target, we want to make the wing player the target. So you'll drive off the screen, but you'll go to sting. So you'll hand it off to the wing player, and then the postman will come behind a ball screen. And roll. Yep, and feeder steps back to corner for big spacing. Very good. Show me quickly in the spots you're in. Circle back door. Circle back door. Excellent pass, well done. Now go forwards out. Forwards out. And hit first cutter for a layup. So quickly, go, tempo. Forwards out. Now Queenie, you're right there to your screening spot. Okay, now this time when we go forwards out, Armour's denied. And I want to go forwards out, Lily, and your pass is denied, so Armour's got to go back door and you have to hit her with a pocket pass. Off you go, forwards out. Excellent work. And then Lauren would come up and you would go to a feeder spot. So go forwards out, Armour goes back door, you can't hit her. I want to continue chin. Lauren has to fill, you pop out, and Lauren, second cutter, is going to shoot the three. So forwards out. Home base, Lauren. Cut, Lily, your first cutter. Oh, we'll come back, do it again. We're just in regular chin. Yeah, your first cutter and out to the corner. So remember, that's when we do the drill, you learn every spot. Okay, here we go, forwards out. Back door, fill up, move the ball, first cutter, second cutter, and shot. Okay, well done, good stuff. Okay, there are a suite of basic options. So we have to have spacing first, main scoring options second, counters to pressure defense third, and then the last part would be whatever options we want to add into there, like I showed you a middle ball screen, I showed you the sting action, you know, hundreds of different things that you could possibly do. The most important thing though here is that I want to show you, well, how do we make this real? And often we can do stuff and work at our fundamentals and it's okay when we're without defense. And then the next thing is we go, let's scrimmage, and kids all forget and it goes to rubbish, right? So I've always wanted to have a good intervening step. Now I need defense on the reversible, so give me, I need a 3-on-3. I want a first cutter, a second cutter, and a postman, 3-on-3. You guys sort it out. Okay, are we ready? 3 on 3. Ball's up here. Now I'm only showing you 3 on 3 because I don't have 5 on 5 with numbers. So I would normally do this 5 on 5. I'm only interested in the whole thing today. So we're after an intervening step. How can the players get confidence with running the stuff when they're in learning stages? So we want to have something in between no defense and full defense. It's an intermediate step. What we have the defensive players do, they're going to grab their singlet with both hands. Both hands, grab your singlet, and you cannot take your hands off your singlet for the duration of the possession. So Queenie, you start in your screening position, high post. Okay, so you guys are going to score. Are you confident? Do you know where we're trying to pass to, or you're not really sure? Do you want to let me pass, or do you want to pass? It's up to you. You can have a go. I love that attitude, right? You have a go. And all you have to do is pass to who you think is open. Okay, so first cutter is trying to score. Second cutter is trying to score. If neither player scores, postman, Queenie, you step to the top, and then we'll just play 3 on 3 to finish. All right, here we go. Had a girl. Excellent, good, do it again. Good pass. Remember, how do we feed that player? Up here, yep. And go. Second cutter. All right, and freeze. So who is open? All right, come back, Lauren. Second cutter. Ball is here. First cutter went through. So defense, where did you go? Underneath, but this player went to help. Who's in front of you? You don't like layups, Queenie? No, I do. Okay, good. You take the layup next time. You just go straight to the basket. Do it again. Excellent work. And one more. You can do something different defensively. Good. Oh, you missed Queenie. Hit Queenie. She was open. Okay. And freeze right there. So we continue the play. You can throw it to Lauren. What happened next in the offense? It was a double screen away. Double screen away. Come on, play. Come on, Holly. Come up. And who's open? And nice shot. Okay, so we had, I think, four goes at it, and we scored on 3 possessions out of 4. So for junior girls basketball, I'm pretty happy with that, because it's going to give them the confidence, even though we missed a ton of stuff. For those of you who coach junior girls, if you score in 3 possessions out of 4, you're world champions, right? But it's great for their confidence because they're going to figure stuff out. If I had to put in 4 on defense, it's 0 out of 4 or 1 out of 4. So it's a great intervening step, and I'll do this a lot and I'll gradually bleed them off it and make it live. Now the thing that we've got to understand, because girls are great at wanting to do what the coach asks them to do, and they want to please the coach, and they'll run the coach's offense. But the offense is not the point. Our priority thing, shooting the ball, passing the ball, because we want easy baskets. So we missed a ton of them. Now girls, can the defense steal your pass? Can the defense block your shot? Right, they've got no hands, right? They can't do it. But how many open shots did we turn down and layups did we miss? Right, because we weren't in that frame of mind. Right, so we have to, unless the defense puts their body in a position, because they can't put their hands in a position, their body in a position to prevent an easy basket, easy pass for a score. Our job is to find the easiest score we can, or the open shot. So you've got to have your minds ready, anticipating the play. Let's try one more. All right, excellent work. Well done. Come back again. Now I'll start to name the actions that I might want. So defense, I want you're playing too far off your man, so play closer to your man. This time I want to go circle, circle, go, tempo, circle. Freeze, 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 freeze. Holly, who was open? You were open. There was no, everybody else step off the court. Quickly, everybody else step off the court. Step off the court. Oh, coach is embarrassing me. That's what you had, but you were running the offense, right? So what we've got to have you see is that when that happens, the easiest basket we're going to get is that one there. I'm just picking on you to make an example. Don't feel bad. Everybody else in New Zealand's done it as well. All right, circle, go. Hey. All right, good work. So now we're figuring out how the offense can really work. Now we'll take that one, we'll say the defense is taking it away, and now we'll get into chin. No matter what, we'll get into chin. Circle. Excellent, good. Now we can put some more constraints on. Now offense. We can't hit the first cutter. So we have to go, who's second cutter? Hands up, second cutter. Yeah, it depends. If we do a circle. Who is the second cutter? Do you know? Which player? Good girl. But you got to be sure. And so the clarity of the language we want to have, that's why we always talk and say first cutter, second cutter, no matter which player is in that position, because these become our scoring looks. And I think it's too hard for a lot of young players to say, this is the game, figure them out. We want to teach them where to look in order, right? And then they can get faster and faster looking in order. But teach the order first. So first cutter, then second cutter. I want you to hit the second cutter this time. If they circle, Holly becomes the second cutter. Right, off we go. All right, now go back again. Let's wait for the screens. Wait for the screens. First cutter, not open. Second cutter, read, freeze, freeze, freeze. Still don't like those layups, Queenie. Oh. Queenie, we want to win. Now, because you did such a good job waiting for the screen, who was guarding you? Because Lily went to guard Lauren. Like she was switching on the screen. Who was in front of you? Right, again, we'll just take the easiest basket on offer, which is you cutting to the ring. Right, so you can see that the power of the alignment of the offense and taking people away from the basket is giving now our post players a chance to make clever basketball plays where hopefully the big guys aren't going to dominate like in a regular offense. Right, so just go one more, we'll go circle. Kick it on. All right, why don't I do it again? If you go circle, I want you to make the pass. Circle. Atta girl, well done. Okay, excellent work. Just to finish with, I would like a lot of our scoring options to come out of our base offense. So instead of kind of going, well, this is a good offense, but we need a completely different lot of plays to get, our targeted shooters open. You can find options for any player that you want. So defense will start to cheat. And I would rather know this offense really well, know it like the back of my hand, and look at what the defense is doing and then figure out our own counters rather than running a set play that I don't understand. So a really common one, for example, when the first cutter throws the ball to second cutter, is that this defensive player is taught by their coach to jump to the ball. So she will try and win the foot race, so kick it on to the feeder. And because that player's cutting with great intensity, you've got to sprint down the line to deny the pass. Otherwise, that becomes a layup. So come back and do it again. Now, you're forgetting to wait for your screen on that one. Now, because the defensive player is shooting the gap on the pass, what happens a lot of the time is that Lily in this position here, I'll take your spot, you go out, to help my teammate, because I'm going screen behind you, the pass goes and the big guy goes bump to take the first cutter away. So the way that we would create a really good scoring option is come back again, Queenie. We would give this a number, we'd call it 55, double 5, it tells the 5-man, because again, Queenie, no one at the moment is guarding you. Shoot, go, 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 go. Just dive straight to the basket, straight to the ring. Right there, and you'll score over the top of that guard every time. So that would be a common option, called 55, straight out of the offense. Another one. So we've got a great shooter here in the point spot, our first cutter. And again, the power of this first cut, which is called a shuffle cut, this player goes down and they always shoot the gap because they don't want to get beaten here. So we call a kickback. So get to the point of the screen, and now our big guy turns back around and just shuts the door on that little guard. No, just stay here and screen her out and kick back, and we skip the pass. Can you skip the pass? Cut one player back, and there would be a 3-point shot. So show the coaches a kickback at speed. But you've got to run your cut really fast and then pop back from the 3-point line and you change your screen. So start the ball here, because remember, you're being guarded. You're back here, back here, back here, back here. Right, go. Kick it, turn, skip it, 3-point shot. And you're not warm. That's okay. Yeah. Now let's say our 2 guard is the shooter, so we go circle kickback. Ready? At tempo. Go. Circle, circle. No. Freeze. So come back. So you're getting to this point of the screen, and we know that you don't want to get beaten by the cut, so you run in there and turn back around and bury this player. And after you circle, because you're normally cutting through, you would get to here, skip pass, 3. All right, so go circle, kick back, 3. Be pass ready. All right, go. Excellent, good work. Hey, not bad, good footwork. And look, and we can go on and on. But the point of what I'm trying to show you, get your spacing, get your basic movement down. We've had an emphasis on the ball movement, the player movement. Create your options against pressure defense. So we've shown you a backdoor from a forwards out. We've shown you circle movement, wing backdoor, guard backdoor. Defense gets sick of denying when you get a couple of simple backdoors against them. Now we can run our basic offense again, but they're used to first cutter, second cutter, so create the wrinkles out of the offense to punish the way that the other coach has set out to guard you. All right, and so I think that if there's any criticism that I've had of our junior coaches as I've looked around, is that oftentimes when the game goes along, they're not thinking adjustments during a game and watching the game closely, because we're in a technologically driven society, and what happens is we let the game go, we run our game plan, and then we come back and we watch it on the video. Now, I was lucky that the coaches that I grew up with, like Lindsay Gaze, taught me the philosophy of you've got to condition the defense, which means the coach has got to have an awareness of what is the defense doing, which means that you try and keep things pretty simple offensively as much as you can, particularly through the first half of a game. And it's often getting momentum late in the game and getting big plays in the third and particularly into the fourth quarter that can break the game open for you. So we might spend the majority of the game just running the basic options, and then later in the game you put in the penalty plays, and then the defense is kind of not ready for it. The other coach starts going crazy, like, why didn't you fight over the screen, blah, blah, blah. Well, coach, you never prepared me for that. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know. It's because we've had the attitude of conditioning the defense. Okay, Leonard, I think I've talked enough, so.
So just kind of get clarification, you're saying it's kind of structured, but let it flow for the first half and then just that.
And watch, and you as a coach, watch. And resist that temptation, because if your playbook, you've got 5 or 6 counters or options, don't cycle through your playbook in the first quarter. Like, let it go a little bit more and save those, keep them in your pocket for later in the game. Yep.
That means your chances of an offensive rebound, everybody's high. Do you run other systems to get offensive rebounds?
No, because I find the players are harder to block out when they're running in from deeper. So it hasn't really impacted.
As long as the offensive players don't have the ball, attack the hoop from out deep.
So, because look, every coach has got a different philosophy about how structured or unstructured you want your offense to be. Now, I've always liked a degree of structure because the shots become predictable. Now, you could argue that the shots become predictable for the defense as well, but my experience has been that even professionals make a much higher percentage on shots when they know where they're going to get their shots, and they can practice and they know their spots and know where they're going to get their shots. So in time, their teammates know, well, he's going to shoot it or she's going to shoot it from there, because I've seen it happen time and again, and now they're a second ahead and they're anticipating the rebound and they're going.
Hey, after we put our hands together for the girls,